fact, we've had a huge response to those abductions and rapes going back a number of years in Nottinghamshire, Yorkshire and Leicestershire. There have been about 100 calls, some very positive, about the aggravated burglary in Bromsgrove. And we're pleased to say that we may have found the 17th century portrait of Henry Pye, stolen earlier this year from Bishop Stortford. He may actually be resting in an auction house in London.
Well, let's start with those sadistic sex attacks spread across 10 years, slightly more actually, in several counties. Tonight, police have described how they have linked the cases, and they're looking for a man described as in his 30s, 5'10", slim, with light brown hair, a Scottish accent, or at least he could put on a Scottish accent, who smokes, who knows Leicestershire, Nottinghamshire and Yorkshire, who may have a criminal record for violence and may have had a relationship which is very, very violent with a woman. And Bob Taylor, I think over 125 calls so far, and they look very, very promising.
Yes, there's been quite a lot of people named. Clearly we're going to have to do some research, but such as you know, people who are putting together the blonde ex-wife, explaining some reason for the period that there'd been a gap, and people with previous very serious sexual offences.
Now that gap you talked about, there was a series of offences that went up to 1984, and then another one that started after 1993, and several of these are suggesting reasons for that either he's in a relationship or he's in prison. Several
Yes.
prison officers I note as well.
Quite a lot from prison officers, ex-police officers, and of course ex-wives.
Have you got the crucial calls here, do you think?
Well, it's quite possible. We're not going to be able to tell tonight. We're going to have to do some research on it. But I'm quite startled by the response, and I'm extremely pleased.
Good. Bob Taylor, thanks very much indeed.
And now that bungled burglary in Stoke Heath in Bromsgrove. Two men callously attacked a couple in their own home.
Where's the safe?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know you got a safe. Now tell me where it is.
Steve Walters, a response here and also in your incident room.
Yes, we've had an excellent response, in excess of 100 calls received this evening, both at the Crimewatch studios and at Redditch in the incident room. Some very good information has been put into the system. Some names have been put forward for the suspects, so I'm very, very pleased with the response.
Now let's have a look at the e-fit of the one particular one that you believe is the ringleader. Explain what he looks like.
Yes, this is a white male, 5'11" to 6 foot tall, with a muscular build, aged between 25 and 30 years, had short dark hair with the goatee beard, and he had some stubble on his cheeks.
There was another burglar who was black who possibly called at that house the night before, didn't he?
That's right, yes. We now believe that this possibly is the second robber.
Now what about the jewellery? Any calls from people who've been offered the jewellery, the 18-carat Rolex watch and the lighter?
Yes, we've had some information about the jewellery which we'll be following up, but there seems to be some confusion with the serial number, and we believe that is a model number that we've given out now. So that's something we'll be following up.
But that is the correct number, whether it's a serial number or a model number?
That's right, yes.
OK, thanks very much indeed. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, on that Ashford deceiver, we've had a large number of calls. The same name's been given 3 times. 6 other callers have given us an address where we can find the name. On that Sealand Arm robbery, again, lots of calls. We've had 4 callers giving the same name. On the Trafalgar Square robbery, 5 calls giving the same name of the same person, and also 4 calls giving other names, including a lawyer who's had dealings with a couple of those faces that we're interested in. Cash converters, over 20 calls, several names suggested for the 2 offenders, and one of them has been named twice. And then lastly, on the Leicester robbery, again 20 calls, 2 names offered that look interesting, and one of them has a background that fits in with the situation.
Had about 130 calls on the sex attack at Dibden Purlieu near Hythe in Hampshire. A 19-year-old woman was walking to a friend's house when a man followed her, a man who'd been noticed by other local residents. Kevin Walton, a lot of calls. How good are they?
Yes, a lot of calls. 1 or 2 very good calls. The vast majority are suggesting names for the CD fit, which we'll work through in our own time over the next few weeks. Say 1 or 2 interesting ones, one in particular from a young lady who said she was raped whilst in Southampton on the 22nd of March, the day before the Hythe rape, when the offender was of a similar description to the Hythe rapist, so that looks quite good.
Had she reported that rape before, or is this the first time it's reported?
She had not reported it to the police before.
So this could be a very, very significant new witness.
Yes, it could, yes. We'd be very keen to see her in the next few days.
One thing you were trying to trace is a woman who was seen on the Saturday, that's the 23rd of March, in Water Lane. She was in shiny black trousers, was crossing the road. Again, a very significant witness. Has she come forward?
No, she hasn't come forward, and we've had nobody suggesting who it might be, so again, she could be be very significant. We will be desperate for her to come forward. She could have some very useful evidence for us.
Okay, meanwhile, a lot of names to try and work through.
Yes.
Jackie.
We know the names of the next four, but where are they? First up, Marion Desiree Nichols. We want to speak to her about a deception in London. Definitely the exception tonight, but very few calls. If you know where she is, please call us. Secondly, Hukin Van Roy Patterson. We want to speak to him about a robbery in Bristol. Over 30 calls, quite a number of sightings, but if you know where he is now, please do keep calling. Michael Alexander Sheeran. We want to speak about that terrible indecent assault murder in East London. Well over 40 calls, lots of sightings of him busking and possibly sleeping rough, so lots to work on there. But again, please call us if you know where he is. And finally, Jason Moss. We want to speak to him about that shooting in Manchester. Some extremely good calls, and well over 20 people have rung in, citing him in various different places, including a landlady who he stayed with until last Thursday. Perhaps he's staying with you now. If he is, please call us. Well, finally, another appeal to catch some really unpleasant men, at least two of them who attacked a post office in Woodhall Spa in rural Lincolnshire.
Shut door! Shut door!
David Hayward, some names have been put forward, we believe?
That's right, we've had an excellent response, not only in the studio but also back at the police station, with people giving us various names, the identity of these two, and also some of them being brothers.
Well, that's significant because the witnesses believe that they did look quite alike, didn't they?
Well, that's right. I'll just remind people again, I mean, both these men looked similar facially, both of them having this overcrowded, crooked teeth. And we'd like to hear from anybody again that may give us suggestions of these two men's identity.
And also you want to eliminate, or indeed find, the car that you think may have been used as a getaway car.
That's right. We must stress that we believe this vehicle is a 4x4 and it's a light brown or gold colour. We're not sure of the make. We'd like to hear of anybody that may have seen that vehicle, even if it is to eliminate it from the inquiry.
Particularly in and around the Malpub car park.
That's correct, yes.
You've also had some tourists ringing in, I believe.
That's right. People staying in the area during that week have phoned in with names of people and descriptions of people they've seen.
Let's hope it leads to something positive.
Thank you.
Can I just do that one again?
It really has been a marvellous response tonight, but that's it for tonight, and indeed for this month, indeed, until the autumn. We'll be back then with a new series of Crimewatch, actually in September. Do keep helping though. The lines here to the studio are closing, but we'll show you local numbers in a moment, and you can always ring on these or any other crimes. The answer phones at Crime Stoppers. They're a free phone number, 0800 555 111, 0800 555 111. Watch out, as I say, for Crimewatch in September. Meanwhile, have a happy, crime-free summer. And from all of us, good night.
Good night.